Hello, my wonderful, wonderful friends. Welcome back to r/ProRevenge, where many of you come to get your dose of satisfaction by listening to others getting what they deserve. Guys, I hope you're having a lovely day today, wherever you are. And guess what? It's about to get even better. In this episode of r/ProRevenge, you'll hear two juicy stories. The first, OP's girlfriend steals money from him and then denies it and goes completely psycho when he accuses her with proof of receipts. The second story is why you should never steal someone's pants, because it might land you in jail. Well, that's if you're messing with the wrong person like OP. Guys, I do hope you stay for the stories today and hit that subscribe button for future revenge stories. Let's dive in, shall we? This first story is titled, Fairly Aggressive Girlfriend Stole from My Bank Account, so I sent her academic career into a nosedive. I'm a senior at a large state university. This happened in the first semester of my freshman year. I was selected for an honors type program that placed me in a co-ed dorm building with every other student in the program. As a dumb freshman, I rushed into a relationship with a freshman girl who lived right above me. We'll call her Megan. It was convenient for me to date someone who lived close, but everyone in our building hated Megan because she talked a lot and almost exclusively about herself. She bragged often about being a fairly aggressive person, but somehow I overlooked that mile-wide red flag. Right after Thanksgiving break, at the end of an evening class, I got a call from my mom, who noticed some unusual activity on my checking account. Back then, I had no credit card, so this debit card was my only access to my savings while I lived on campus. I rarely needed to buy anything during the semester, so I was puzzled to find that $104.29 had left my bank account over 2 weeks, in the form of 6 Grubhub food orders. At this point, I trusted Megan, but decided to ask her about the money right away. She denied involvement and suggested that I cancel my debit card. After a really long phone call to the bank, I did just that. Next, I reached out to Grubhub's customer service and said, "Hey, my card was stolen and used for food orders on these dates. Can I have the receipts?" They sent me the first and last receipts, but they had to redact the personal info of the account holder. I say redact in quotes because they just used the Snapchat draw tool, and Megan's name was still clearly visible on both receipts. What's more, the most recent receipt was only 2 hours old. She was probably still eating when I chopped up my debit card. It's worth noting that she and I had unlimited dining plans, paid for by our respective parents, and we lived 500 feet from the nearest dining hall. She did not need to order food, and she definitely did not need my money to do it. So I texted her again and said, "I have the receipts from Grubhub. Are you sure you didn't make those orders?" Her reply was, "Screw you for suspecting me." Fairly aggressive, wouldn't you say? I hatched a plan to collect security camera footage of her picking up the order from that evening. However, by midnight, Megan arrived at my door in tears and confessed to everything. Plus, she admitted to being a serial shoplifter. Exhausted, I sent her away and decided to deal with everything in the morning. By the next day, everyone in our building seemed to know what was going down, probably because Megan had already begun broadcasting her version of the story. I sent Megan a breakup text and decided that the $104.29 was a loss. At least I escaped unscathed, right? Well, less than 2 days later, she entered my room when I wasn't looking. I was sitting at my desk when I noticed her standing silently behind me, and she says, "Give me my stuff." "Where's my stuff?" I asked, "What stuff?" She replied, "You know." I did not know. She tore through the room, looking for something that she refused to identify. As quick as she came, she was gone, and I locked the door because obviously this wasn't over yet. Within a minute, she was back. She stood outside my door, knocking and demanded I let her inside. The knocking quickly got more violent, and she started shouting, "Open the mother effing door." Mind you, we lived in this building with students in our program who all know each other, and all of them could hear her. Pretty quickly, Megan was rattling the handle of my door. She then began throwing herself at it, shoulder first, trying to break it down. I lived next door to my RA, but judging by the lack of intervention, he was elsewhere. So I whipped out my phone and texted him to come now. My RA was on duty in another building, so he sent 3 of his colleagues to de-escalate the situation. They brought Megan downstairs, where she revealed that the stuff she wanted was just a t-shirt and keychain that she gave me for my birthday. She caused a ruckus over that. Whatever, I let her have those. I still wanted this to be over. However, once I shared my story with the resident life staff, they filed university paperwork to place a no-contact order between me and Megan. They also recommended that I contact the campus police, who then told me that I should get my stolen money back in small claims court. As the request of the campus police, I also contacted the Title IX office at my school, sending them the story of everything you've read so far. They were interested, to say the least, although I didn't want any trouble. I just wanted a clean breakup and a fresh start. But a Title IX representative told me that they were bringing 3 misconduct charges against Megan: theft, threatening and violent behavior, and inciting an intervention by university staff. The representative asked me to serve as a witness in Megan's disciplinary hearing the next semester. When the day of the hearing finally arrived, the no-contact order was still in effect, but a few of my friends had kept tabs on Megan. Megan kept telling a twisted version of the whole story to try to turn my friends against me. I arrived alone at the board office, unsure of what to expect. The board consisted of grad students, and the hearing was expected to run into the night. Unlike me, Megan did not come alone. She brought both of her parents as character witnesses. That wasn't even a thing here, as this was not a real courtroom, as you'll soon see. And that's not all. Megan's parents also paid a lawyer to defend her against the charges. They brought a lawyer. The board knew that that was unnecessary, but Megan's parents believed so strongly in their daughter's innocence that they already paid this 3-piece suit-wearing lawyer to make her case. In the name of fairness, the board members offered me a pro bono legal representation, a junior economics major who we'll call Jimmy. Jimmy had already read my account of the events from the fall, and thanks to my screenshots of the Grubhub receipts, he said that there was an okay shot of the charges sticking. I then told him something I'd kept secret for months. When Megan tried to break down my door, and I whipped out my phone to text my RA, I also filmed the whole thing on my cell phone. Jimmy could not get enough of the video. It was just a video of my door, but the audio is what was important. There was Megan, screaming and banging against the door and clearly trying to break into my dorm room. It was all the evidence I needed, and no one saw it coming. In the hearing, when time came for me to make my case against Megan, Jimmy played the video on a big screen in front of everyone. The room went insane. In that instant, I realized that Megan had really convinced everyone that I was the liar. In her version of the story, I gave her permission to buy food using my account. She told her parents that she'd asked me politely for her belongings, which I'd rudely hidden from her in my dorm room. In Megan's story, I was the sociopath trying to ruin her reputation. Before I unveiled the video, it was her word against mine. If there was no video, there may have been a good chance that I would have lost this fight. I saw her parents flipping out at the video saying, "Why didn't you tell us you did this?" And her lawyer raising hell saying, this evidence was not provided in pre-trial disclosure. A board member stands over the lawyer and says, "Sir, this is not a court of law. Please return to your seat." And him shouting, "Objection!" And her replying, "Sir, we don't have objections. This isn't a court of law." Jimmy and I just sat there, just trying not to laugh out loud, and that's when I realized how good revenge can feel when it's fair and deserved. The board found Megan responsible on all 3 charges. My side of the bench recommended the university terminate her housing contract and force her to pay restitution. Her side recommended only restitution and a reprimand. The board compromised. Her family paid back most of the money she stole, and I say most because 2 of the 6 orders had the same price, and the lawyer convinced the board that I had duplicated an order, and Megan was forced to move into a different dorm building. This probably wouldn't have helped her anyway, because every student in our program's building knew everything she'd done and lied about. They wouldn't speak to her, and no one wanted to be her roommate. By the time she had to move buildings, she'd already failed all of her courses again. Having paid for her tuition, her unused dining plan, her lawyer, and her restitution, Megan's parents finally pulled her out of school. And where are they now? Last I heard, Megan returned as a part-time student, but I never saw her again because the no contact order still stands. I no longer date fairly aggressive people. Oh my goodness. That part where OP reveals the recording of his girlfriend body checking the door was so satisfying. I can only imagine her face and her parents' face during the hearing when OP was like, "But wait, I have video proof that your daughter is a freaking psycho." Oh my goodness, what a satisfying story. This next story is titled, "Destroy My Clothes, Enjoy Your Time in Jail." So this happened when I was 14 or 15. My mother was married to a man who had an adult son from a previous marriage. I think he was mid-20s. He lived the hippie life, literally on the streets by choice, and about once a year or so, he would hitchhike his way to our house with his friends, do copious amounts of laundry and weed, and generally just take over as if it was their house. Anyhow, like any teenage girl, I was obsessed with my clothes. I had laundry sitting in the dryer, including these awesome corduroy pants that I had only worn once. Stepbro and friends are doing laundry, and instead of doing something normal like moving my stuff aside or putting it in my room, they decide, oh man, it would be so dope to cut these up and make a sweet cape. So that's what they did. I saw my stepbrother wearing this cape and recognized the material and said, "Are those my pants?" He replied, "Yeah, they were in the laundry, man. You know, like finders keepers." I was furious, and his dad wouldn't do anything about it. My mom was pissed because she had just bought these for me and they were pricey. I wanted to get back at my stepbrother, but he had nothing of value because of his lifestyle. I then remembered I overheard my parents fighting, and my mom had mentioned that my stepbrother had got a girl pregnant, and the kid was like 2 years old, and he hadn't so much as given the girl a penny or even seen the child since it was born. So the next day, my parents were at work. My stepbrother's hanging out listening to music or something, and I decide to call the cops. I wasn't sure what to say, but I told the dispatcher that I knew of someone who might have a warrant out for failure to pay child support. Now, before you say, how would a teenager know about that? Well, my birth father is a demon, and was at one point nearly arrested for the same offense. The dispatcher asked for the name of the person. I gleefully gave my stepbrother's name, and they confirmed that there was in fact a warrant out for him. I gave my address and I waited. 20 minutes later, cops roll up. They knock, and I let them in, and lead them right to him and say, "He's right here, officers." I couldn't help smiling. They cuff him and take him off to jail. An hour later, my mom calls the house after my stepbrother had used his phone call to call his dad, and I tell her exactly what I did. She whispered, "Good job," but then pretended to loudly reprimand me, as she was with stepdad. Stepdad could not get the fine and bail money together fast enough, so stepbrother had to sit in jail overnight. It still makes me happy 20 years later to remember seeing him being taken away in a cop car. My mom luckily divorced that guy and is now married to a very nice man. Guys, he must have been on another planet when he had the incredible idea to turn a pair of pants into a cape. Guys, everybody knows t-shirts would make way better capes. I have no idea what that guy was thinking. Guys, and that brings us to another end of our /ProRevenge. I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 stories today because I sure as heck did. If you missed the last episode of our /ProRevenge, OP's dad gets fired and his new boss helps him get revenge by buying out the old company and firing the guy who fired OP's dad. It's a pretty wild one, so check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one.